Welcome to our Affinity Diagram and Interrelationship Diagram session. In this session, we will discuss how you can use the Affinity Diagram and the Interrelationship Diagram to identify the possible causes and the most likely causes of a problem. Okay, let's get started. Any problem-solving activity always starts with a symptom. What do we mean by a symptom? A symptom is, as you see here, a quantifiable event or effect. Something that an internal or an external customer experiences. For example, a product that does not work as intended, a delivery that has been delivered late, or an incorrect invoice that you received from a supplier. The first question we have to answer is, why do we see that symptom? What is the problem that we need to solve to make sure that the symptom doesn't occur in the future? We have to identify and define the problem. A problem is a deviation from an expectation or standard, a perceived gap between the existing state and a desired state. So, we need to find a way to get from the symptom to the problem that we need to solve. The 5 whys is a great tool to accomplish this task. Once we understand the true problem we need to solve, we need to identify possible causes. What are the possible causes of the problem that causes that symptom? We will discuss the use of brainstorming and the affinity diagram to identify possible causes of a problem. After we have identified the possible causes of a problem, we need to find a way to narrow those down to the most likely cause or causes of the problem. We will discuss how we can use the interrelationship diagram to reduce a large number of possible causes to a smaller number of most likely causes. Finally, we need to identify and verify the root cause or root causes of the problem. Some problems have only one root cause, while some more difficult problems may have a combination of 2 or more root causes. After developing a clear problem statement and problem description for the problem we are trying to solve, we need to identify all possible causes of that problem. Usually, this can be accomplished by using brainstorming and the fishbone diagram or the affinity diagram. In this session, we will discuss the use of the affinity diagram. Both tools, the affinity diagram and the fishbone diagram, require the team to organize a brainstorming session. Here you see a general procedure for a brainstorming session. First, we want to make sure that everyone on our team understands the problem statement. What is the problem we are trying to solve? We also want to remind everyone that we are looking for possible causes and not possible solutions. Too often, a team jumps into developing solutions before they understand why the problem happens in the first place. In step 2, we give everyone a few minutes to think about possible causes. I always encourage each team member to write down the possible causes on a post-it sticker. 1 possible cause per sticker. During step 3, we are asking the team members to call out their ideas for possible causes. This may happen randomly or in turns. Whatever works best. Encourage team members to build on each other's ideas. Avoid lengthy discussions or criticism. Only discuss an idea if it needs additional clarification. Collect all the possible causes, for example captured on post-it stickers, and place them on a whiteboard or flip chart. Continue the last 2 steps until the team cannot identify any additional possible causes. If you have team members who have not participated in a brainstorming session before, it may be a good idea to implement some basic guidelines or rules for the session. Here you can see some guidelines organizations are using. I will not discuss them all, but only mention a few. Team members need to avoid judging or criticizing others. We want to be open and honest, but also respectful and encouraging. Team members should provide specific examples, but also allow for wild ideas. We need to keep an open mind and be aware of our opinions. Let us build on each other's ideas and include and engage others. If the problem you are trying to solve, or the improvements you are trying to make, is not related to one specific process, but rather the result of multiple processes, like for example improving employee satisfaction or employee engagement, The affinity diagram together with the interrelationship diagram are a great approach to identify all the possible causes and then the most likely causes of the problem. An affinity diagram organizes a large number of ideas or possible causes into their natural relationships, and taps into the team's creativity and intuition. Let us first discuss how to create an affinity diagram, and then we are going to look at a specific example. Here are the 5 steps a team would follow when developing an affinity diagram for a problem. First, the team would brainstorm all the possible causes using, for example, the brainstorming rules we discussed earlier. The second step is to record each possible cause on a separate post-it note and place it on a whiteboard or flipchart. Step 3 is to look for possible causes that seem to be related, and place them side by side until all possible causes are grouped. For example, all the possible causes related to training, or all the possible causes related to the hiring process, would be grouped together. It is a good rule to minimize discussions among team members during this step. In step 4, the team then selects a heading for each group and writes it on a separate post-it note. During this step, the team members may and normally will discuss what the appropriate names for those groups of possible causes would be. In step 5, the last step, the team ensures that every possible cause identified aligns with one of the headings and makes final adjustments if necessary. Here you see an example of an affinity diagram. The problem statement for this example could be that the customer loyalty is too low. You see that the team has identified multiple possible causes for this problem. The possible causes are shown on the green post-it stickers. The possible causes include, the demand for high-quality and low-cost goods is increasing, market differentiation is becoming less of an issue, and the technology is no longer awe-inspiring. In step 3 and step 4, the team then grouped these different possible causes into 5 groups, and defined a header for each group. One of the group headers is quality is becoming globalized. Another group header is non-user-friendly products are unacceptable. We will see a little bit later that the next step would be to use an interrelationship diagram to identify the most likely causes of this problem. An interrelationship diagram is a great tool to identify the most likely causes or potential root causes of the problem. Let us first review the 4 steps of developing an interrelationship diagram, and then we are going to discuss an example. In step 1, the team would place all the headers identified in the affinity diagram in a circle on a flipchart or whiteboard. In step 2, the team is going to ask for each header, does this header cause or influence any other header? The team will draw arrows from each header to the ones it causes or influences. Step 3 is then to analyze the diagram by counting how many incoming and outgoing arrows each header has. Write down the number of incoming and outgoing arrows for each header. The last step is to identify which headers have primarily outgoing arrows. These headers are potential candidates for the most likely causes or possible root causes of the problem or the areas for improvement. Here you see an example of an interrelationship diagram. This interrelationship diagram is not associated with the affinity diagram we discussed earlier. Here the team looks at a different problem or area for improvement. The problem the team tries to solve here is to improve the use of statistical process control charts in some of their critical processes. As you can see, the team has identified 9 areas or 9 headers in their affinity diagram. For example, lack of motivation to change, and the lack of support for implementation. Step 1 of creating an interrelationship diagram was to place these 9 headers in a circle on a flipchart or whiteboard. In step 2, the team identified which headers cause or influence any of the other headers. You see the arrows going from one header to another header. In step 3, the team counted the number of incoming and outgoing arrows for each header. For example, the header, lack of motivation to change has 5 incoming arrows and 0 outgoing arrows. Where the header, fear of technical tools and methods has 0 incoming arrows, but 5 outgoing arrows. By reviewing the final interrelationship diagram, the team has identified that the fear of technical tools and methods, and that people have competing priorities, impact many of the other headers. These 2 headers have no incoming arrows, but 5 outgoing arrows. Therefore, these 2 headers are potential candidates for the most likely causes the team needs to address to improve the use of statistical process control charts in some of their critical processes. The interrelationship diagram also shows that the lack of motivation to change is not so much a cause of the problem, but a symptom or result of some of the other headers. Thus, addressing some of the other headers will also improve employee motivation. I hope you enjoyed this Operational Excellence 101 session and found it helpful. Our Operational Excellence Academy provides organizations like yours with excellent training material, e-learning courses, and high-quality online courses. Please visit our website for more information.